Welcome to Something Borrowed Blue Ridge, a space where brides and grooms share all about their big day and all the details that made their day so unforgettable. I'm Sarah, your host, and I want to let you know that you can take Something Borrowed Blue Ridge on the go through any podcasting service or watch our podcast to see all the pictures, details, and beautiful moments of our couple's days on our YouTube channel. I'm so glad you are here, and I cannot wait for the conversations to begin. Let's get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Something Borrowed Blue Ridge. I am so excited for today's podcast. Today on the podcast, we have Hannah Strickland, who is a very close friend of mine and actually my boss as well that I work with at Hannah Strickland Events. We're going to talk all about how we met, all about her big day, a lot about wedding planning and how the wedding coordination, wedding planning business works. And we have tons of advice and wonderful things within this podcast that I'm so excited for you to hear. So stick around and let's get started. All right. So I am so excited to have you on the podcast, Hannah. I'm literally so excited. So I figure, I know this isn't our first question, but I'm going to ask it anyways. Let's talk about how we met and how we ended up knowing each other.
I know. Whirlwind is so good that you are doing a wedding related podcast because this is my jam. I'm telling you. So obviously, with us, we met at a wedding.
Yeah.
I'm a wedding planner. So it worked out where one of Sarah's friends was getting married and I was the coordinator. And so we ended up kind of connecting there. And Sarah was a big help the day. You were awesome. You were awesome. And I was like, oh, you want to be hired? Come over. So that's kind of, us connecting that way was, of course, fitting for this podcast. But yes, that's kind of how we connected through, I think it was COVID time. I think it was 2020, wasn't it?
It was, yeah, it was 2020 year. Yeah. Because that was the crazy part. I was helping out my friend with her wedding and trying to help her with it. And then with COVID hitting, because she was originally getting married in May, everything just sort of got upside down because of COVID. And so she ended up reaching out to you because you knew the area and knew Wilmington. And I was like, I have no idea about anything down there. And then I remember meeting you and I was like, oh my gosh, she's so awesome. And then when I found out that you were in Eastern North Carolina and I think you texted me maybe, and you were like, want to work?
By the way, come hang out with me. You are good at this.
Oh my gosh, and it was so fun. I love working weddings with you. And so for all my listeners, Hannah is Hannah Strickland Events, and I will definitely tag all of her stuff in all of this. But Hannah is who I work with in Eastern North Carolina with wedding planning, and she is awesome. And so talking about wedding planning, and we will get into your wedding because we want to talk all about that too. But talking about wedding planning, how did you get into wedding planning? Where did that come from?
Yeah. So I actually fumbled my way through early, college, just being in classes, kind of went the communication route, really enjoyed it, just fell into, communication early on. And then I went out and just saw a wedding planning company in Wilmington. They were not at UNCW. I kind of went through UNCW, looked for a service to intern with, and they didn't have any. So I sought this girl out, please hire me. Don't you need any help? I'll work for free. I just need credit. So I went and worked with a really successful, wedding planning company in Wilmington and had a good experience. And, when you dive in head first, you see, oh, I would do this, or, oh, I wouldn't do this, because every company is different, even though they offer, pretty much the same services. It's really the experience you want. So I began in the back of my mind to formulate kind of a business without even consciously doing it. I was like, oh, I think I could do this, or this might be fun. So I kind of started with this company and then came out and really, really worked and stayed in the industry after that ended, that internship ended after college. So I would do anything to be at a wedding. I think my cousin is a successful photographer in Raleigh, North Carolina. She moved, but I would go and just carry around her bags and give her water. She was pregnant at the time, and I just chase her around with water. And but doing that, I got to see the photography side, and I got to meet a planner through her. And I ended up doing some weddings, shadowing her for free in Wilson. And so, and I can, tag all those people later, but they were awesome. They were really the mentors. So I have to be honest, just fumbled my way into the industry and said, okay, I think planning is the bread and butter. Not good with a camera, not good with flowers yet. I think I can do people.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like that is oftentimes the way that people end up in this industry is like there's one little door that opens and then it's like, wow, look at all of the things that you can do within it. And I love that you sought out those different ways just to be there and see it, because that's something I feel like a lot of people do not necessarily realize going into wedding planning or going into wedding coordinating is you're really with people all the time and you have to be a
Yes.
team to work for like the good of that couple, whoever they are. And so we want to make sure like that we can all work together. And so the fact that you have experience looking with photography or looking, from the floral perspective or looking from all of these different like viewpoints, it also allows you to be there for your couples even more, which is awesome.
Yeah. It filters into, that's really the teamwork thing is so critical because each wedding is a new team. Like you have your team and your business, and then you get to, for a planner, we're at hundreds of venues a year. So it's like, you're going to get different photographers, different caterers, different videographers. And so it really is all about the people. And that's really what I value. I don't necessarily adore the design part of weddings. I'll do it and I know how to do it and I enjoy it. But like when I leave the wedding, it's not, oh, I absolutely, had a lot of fun with the flowers or the runners or whatever. It was really more of like, okay, the clients are satisfied. Like I enjoyed watching the bride and groom. I enjoyed watching the in-laws. I enjoyed watching the vendors. So it's more of the people that I've always been drawn to. So it's always fun to go in and have a new team each weekend.
Yeah, for sure. And that is, I mean, I don't feel like people realize that you really do work with a whole new team. Like you might work with similar vendors sometimes, but even then there's always just like a mixed match of vendors at all of these different places. And so that team
Sure.
mindset is so important. So important for sure.
Yeah.
And so thinking about your wedding, now let's like switch gears for just a minute and we'll definitely talk more about wedding planning throughout the whole thing. But talk to me about how you and Tyler met.
Yeah. So switching gears, I got so excited reading over, our information for this podcast because I was like, I haven't spent time thinking about my wedding since we got married. Like we got married in 2018 in Wilmington, and it was me and Tyler, my husband. And I started the business in 2019. So I really, until this podcast, have not ventured back and really just enjoyed my gallery and my wedding videos. So this was a fun opportunity to kind of relive it. And I got to ask him a few questions, but kind of a complicated answer with an easy question. Tyler and I met when I was like 5 or 6. He's 3 years older than me and a little complicated. He was my sister's best friend, and I was like, oh, this older boy is cute. Like I want to marry him, and I did. I went after it. But yeah, we met. I wouldn't even know where we met, but we went to the same church, so we spent a lot of time together there. And then him being my sister's good friend, graduating together, we were around each other a lot, played the same sports. So small town in Clinton, North Carolina. I mean, we knew each other. So I knew that I liked him well before he liked me. Definitely.
I love that. I love that. And so then so it sounds like you knew that you liked him, but then obviously at some point he knew you liked you. So how did that connection happen?
So, well, honestly, we had been friends all throughout like middle school, high school, knew each other. And then when he went off to college, I mean, obviously we went to 2 separate schools. So he was in Raleigh at State and I was in Wilmington, doing communication. And so we ended up reconnecting. Let me think, like 2015. I think, yeah, 2015. And it was towards the end of 2015. And it was kind of a time where we had not seen each other in years. And it was like we almost met again as like adults. Like it was just an odd, like, oh, we've known each other forever, but we don't know each other anymore as we did. And so, he actually proposed to me at the house. It was a house at Carolina Beach. He actually took me back later to get engaged, but it was the house where he had kind of just said, you know what? I really like you. Like, I love you. Like, I think we need to be together. And I was like, wait, are you serious this time? Like, I don't know. So we ended up, reconnecting that year. And then after we started dating, it was like, oh yeah, like, let's get married. Let's do it tomorrow. We had a short engagement. So it was quick. It was
That's
good.
awesome. Yeah. So how long was your engagement?
Like roughly 8 months.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's pretty short in wedding planner land.
It is. And let me tell you, it was pre-wedding planner, Hannah. Like it was not yeah, and looking back, like I'm telling you, it's funny being a planner now and seeing all the things I did wrong, but then also Like I was a young bride. I was straight out of college and like months out of college. And my mom did the bulk of the planning. That woman worked her tail off for me. Thank you, Lord. But she really, like, I can't take credit as a wedding planner, even though I want to. I can't, because she did it.
That's
For
awesome.
sure.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I could totally see that, especially, and I feel like it's harder when it's actually your wedding. Like, even from my perspective, like having planned weddings, having coordinated some weddings. Then when it came to my wedding, I was like, wow, like this was actually mine. And like for you, it was even before you really got into it. So I'm sure, thinking back, there are definitely things that, I mean, same here. Again, I only got married like a year ago. Like I'm already thinking like, oh man, I could have totally done that differently. But yeah, so tell me more about your day, like about your actual day.
Yeah. So like I said, my connection was to Wilmington, and it was just because I went to school there. But with Tyler being older, he spent most of the weekends there. So he felt very connected to Wilmington as well. So it just kind of added up. We're like, I think we want to get married there, just because of the connection. So the day of, we ended up deciding to like get beach houses, just separate boys and girls. We had a big bridal party. I think I had 9, he had 9 or 10. We just had a big group. So it was like, it just makes sense. Let's make a weekend of it. And we decided to do like beach houses. So we couldn't get anything at Wrightsville. So we did Carolina Beach, which was not that far. It was like 20 minutes from the venue. But it was awesome. So we ended up getting ready there all morning. And then probably after lunch, like we went to St. Thomas, and they had a suite at the time for the girls and not the guys. So the guys came a little bit later, and I think we got married. I wanted a formal wedding, semi-formal. I was like, if I'm doing an event, doing it once, like let's do it big. So I made the guys like be in tuxes, like not guests, but we did tuxes and long dresses. And I kind of went with, I didn't want much. I was very, I walked, that was the only venue I toured, and it's St. Thomas Preservation Hall. It's a preserved church. And it has just exposed brick, so you can do anything, like any color would work, and any design really works in there. It's just a big open space. I said, oh, this is it, this is easy. So I went with a very minimal, I mean, I guess it was a minimalist, I'm not even sure at the time. It was not rustic, it was not boho, it was really just, it was very simple. I think elegant, I think I could say. I did decide to do like a burgundy like bridesmaid dress, to add a pop of color, because I would have, looking back, I almost wish I would have done like champagne to even dress it up more. But if you ask me right now what my centerpieces are, like I could not tell you. Like maybe flowers. Like I don't remember buying candles, but the day was really, really, I mean, it was beautiful. Like I don't regret anything on my wedding day. I can look back and just say little things we were easily letting go of. Like we enjoyed the people, which is, it always comes back to the people. So it was a good day. It was a great day for me, and I think my husband.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I think that's so interesting that you pointed out, I don't even know what the centerpieces looked like, because like when I'm looking back at my day, a lot of times I think, wow, I spent so much time worried about what these tables were going to look like. And in reality, like that, I barely looked at the tables, you know what I mean? I'm sure the guests did, but like, it's just something that what you remember is you end up remembering the people and the group that you're with and the day as a whole. So I love that too, because I feel like that's something that a lot of times you can get so caught up in wedding planning, is just all the little itty bitty details, like just so tiny. And
I know, I see that.
yeah, for sure, for sure. And so that's something that I definitely see all the time, and I'm sure you do too with all of your brides.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So thinking about that planning piece though, like thinking about the details and some of that, what was your favorite part when you were planning everything?
I didn't really have I mean, I had favorite pieces of like the day that I knew I wanted, but the planning part, I didn't love any part of planning, but I didn't know that I loved it. Like to me, fresh out of college, it was this huge task, and it's a lot of opinions thrown at you. So the planning part, I don't remember hating by any means, but I had finite ideas about what I wanted. Like I knew I wanted that exposed brick. Like, let's just find a place. I knew I wanted Wilmington. There were certain aspects that I just wanted, but there was other things like the flowers, like even to today, like I love when I see a bride who chooses, really bold flowers or even just unique flowers, but white and green. I love that. But at that point, I just did not, I did not care about it. I just wanted to be married to Tyler. And that was pretty much it. So the planning overall, very positive. I don't have any like horror stories, which is great because that's not the case for everyone. Like I said, I owe it to my mom.
Yeah. No,
She
that's
did.
awesome. That's awesome. It is, I feel like it can be so overwhelming because it's such a big task, and like you said, like
Yeah.
being fresh out of college and having like this huge thing. I mean, there is so much that goes into it that you don't think about. So having your people that can help you too is just awesome. So
Oh, oh,
that is awesome. So I'm gonna pull up your inspiration pictures really quick and talk about this picture first. Tell me about it.
yeah. So this is at a beach house in Carolina Beach, and the girls. This is obviously the kitchen, open dining area. These were the girls, and they honestly the robes are from Amazon. My sister, she's on the right. If you're looking, and she's got the floral pattern. She's the maid of honor, and she kind of has that light blue. She bought her own robe. Like I was fresh out of college, so I was like, I really want you to have something cool, but I have no money. And so she ended up buying her own robe, like a queen of a maid of honor. But I always loved that blue, the deep blues, and I was never a warm colors, like even in my house, like it was always going to be cool tones. So I know I wanted that in that part of the day. Looking back, I probably would have loved it at my wedding, but overall, the girls and I, we had mimosas, coffee, hung out, and that's really the bulk of what we did. Like we started taking photos, and my photographer was awesome. She was literally the best. And her name's Ginny Corbett. So she lined us up, hung out with us all day. It was good. It was good.
That's awesome. And a good
I
photographer
know.
makes it so wonderful. And we'll talk about that when we get to vendors, but like, yes,
Yes,
yes. Okay.
really.
This one, oh my gosh. Literally, when you sent me this, I kid you not, I gasped. I was like,
Oh,
so, okay, tell me about this one.
good. So this photo, you can see, okay, I did have lanterns. I couldn't remember if I had lanterns, so I didn't even notice till now. But this is St. Thomas, and so it does call for a flip. So this is the same space that we got married in, and then we had the reception. I think our guest count was just under 200, like maybe like 190, 195, and we really hit the mark. So it was packed, but it was still breathable. We loaded in there, but you can see the alcoves, the white ones. We love those, and those two pieces, the two big floral vases, they were my favorite of the whole thing. Like she nailed it. I didn't even know I wanted that, but she nailed it. And so we did actually hire High Performance to do the lighting in there. There was just something about adding the Edison lights that made it a little bit softer, a little bit more romantic, especially when evening came. So I will tell you, I did September and it was 5 o'clock, and Sarah, it was hot. Like it was hot in that building. It's an old building. I mean, it's built in like the 1800s. Like it was hot. So looking back, I would have definitely taken out a layer of crinoline underneath my dress because I was rusted.
Oh,
Especially at this point, because you can't see, but there's like stained glass windows to the right and left. You kind of can. And they trap some heat, man. So yeah, we were hot, but this was kind of my touch of burgundy, white and green. We just wanted it very open. So you can kind of, I mean, I'd say they grasped it. It really turned out the way I wanted.
yeah, absolutely. And I did not know that you added the lights on, but like that was definitely something I noticed that just really adds that like romance piece for
It
sure.
was worth it.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful, just absolutely beautiful. And
Thank
I love the
you.
pieces. Yeah, I mean, it's just like I said, breathtaking. I literally gasped. All
Good, good, good.
right, let's see. Okay, this one, I love this one.
Yeah. Got to add a makeout picture.
Of
That's what you do the
course,
whole day in front of the camera. You never kiss in front of your family until your wedding day, I feel like. And then it's like,
I
all right, there's 100 people watching you, but whatever.
right, right.
Um, let's see. This was at Fort Fisher. And side note, you need to have like a permit to do this. Didn't know that at the time. My photographer did. Planning me knows that. But we went out there to do a first look. And if you're familiar with weddings, I know you are, Sarah, but we did a first look to knock out a lot of our photos so we could just have a quiet moment together before we were completely alone besides the photographer. And that's just kind of where I revealed the dress that I'd been talking about for 8 months. And that spot's right on the water. So it was cool and breezy under those trees. Like it's a great location. So definitely recommend it if you're looking for like a coastal type feel, but not necessarily like a beach wedding. But yeah, I remember wearing like my Birkenstocks at this point. Like I was not wearing heels or anything. I changed into those, for the wedding, and then changed out of them immediately. And looking back, I spent the bulk of the day in those Birkenstocks underneath that big old dress, and they were like old Birkenstocks, Sarah. Like I needed like a fresh pair at least because they were gross. Like they had been swamming. Anyway, that's not the point. But yes, here's Fort Fisher, and that's me and Tyler, making out.
Well, I love it. I love it. That's so true too about like you do not kiss really much. I mean, some people do, but like at least that was the case for us too. Like, and then I don't feel like many people do, but like then the day of the wedding, it's like, oh, you're gonna kiss like all the time, nonstop.
Kiss on your cheek or forehead to forehead, or whisper in your ear. I'm like, everyone's watching me.
Yeah.
That stuck out.
Yeah, me too. Me too. That's so funny. But yeah, this space is beautiful. I didn't realize that this was your first look. I love that. First looks would definitely be so helpful with getting all those pictures done. Yeah, I'm a big fan of first looks.
Same, Sarah, same.
Okay, so this is your dresses that you were talking about. I love them. I love the color.
I ended up really liking it because like I said, it was early September. It was September 8th. 2018. And so, you go, oh, that's fall. Like it's basically fall. It might have been August 31st at the beach last week, but it's fall. So that was my way of kind of warming it up. But like I said, it was so hot this day. But I did a dress from Nordstrom, and I think it was, I don't know, $100. I mean, I don't remember it being maybe more, maybe 150. I don't remember. I just know this style, like hitting the midsection. So I feel like everyone would have been pretty comfortable with it. And that was kind of my thought behind it. And low key, I love when people do different dresses, but once I found this, I was like, let's make it easy. Like girls, just here. If you like it, I hope so. What do you think? Like buy it. Whatever shoes you want, just that's fine. But this was in the same location. So right after our first look, the girls were like in the cars and the guys were, and then they ended up, coming. So yeah. And then the Florals was the Atrium in Clinton, North Carolina. And they just did white and green, which is, what I wanted. But yeah, this was the photos. Fort Fisher, man, is the place to be.
For sure. And that is good to know about the permit too, because I would have never known that either. I would just assume you could get it.
Fun fact, ladies.
Yeah, good to know. Good to know. All right, here's another one. I loved this one too.
Oh, I honestly just included it because of the trees. Let's be honest. The trees are just the key there. I mean, but you can see kind of, we did the tux and we did the black tux, which is just fully online. They just send it to you, you try it on, you send it back. So Tyler has like a midnight blue one on, but overall that was just a little different. We didn't want anything too bold. We just liked this just solid, solid group, pretty comfortable and everything. But it was fun. That was a fun crowd right there. Let me tell you, I hadn't hung out with all of them together since, but it was fun.
Oh my gosh, that's so fun. Yeah, now you need to do like a reunion or something, or I guess a Valentine's, right? Not too long. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Anniversary party.
Yeah. Okay, this one too. I love this one. The veil shot.
Again, we're making out, but yes, the veil shot, can't go wrong. This is straightforward, but this is actually in so St. Thomas it's called City Club, but it's adjacent to it. And it's right there downtown. You walk to us across the street, and they have a garden that you can use for photos for the day of. So they also do weddings. We did our rehearsal dinner there. So we actually walked after the ceremony over and did some photos in the garden. So I just included this because I'm a sucker for a veil shot.
Same. And this one's so beautiful. I feel like the lighting in it is like absolutely perfect. And I'm glad you said that it was in the garden, because I noticed it was a different background than the other place, but I didn't know what it was. So that's really cool that they've got that outdoor space too. And you can also, wait, I'm going to go back for just a second. You can also see your jewelry and your dress. So pretty. Oh my gosh. Like, I'm telling you,
the jewelry. It's from Amazon. I'm pretty sure it was Amazon or Etsy. It was very fake.
Well, it's beautiful.
I appreciate it. And I did have a headband, and you can kind of see where it's, pinned in there. At that point, I had knocked my hair. My poor hairstylist was over me. But I had a headband. I said the headband, but it was just a diamond piece that I wore my hair. But honestly, I was so used to, I'm a headband girl. Mm-hmm. So it's rare that I don't have one on. So that to me was very comfortable. And at that time, my hair was super long. So I was like, no, we're tacking this up as much as possible.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, I noticed the headband in the first picture too, or the second one. The second one of the big. I was like, oh my God, just beautiful. I don't see
a lot of people do that. I don't know if that's normal.
Yeah, no, I A few maybe, but it's been a while and it's really far and few between. So, but I love that it's so unique and it's like specific to you too, because it's how you feel comfortable. And I feel like comfort is so important and it's beautiful.
Yes, definitely want to be comfy. That's why we had the Birkenstocks and the headband. I was basically
Yes.
just sitting outside at the beach.
Just with a big old dress, you know.
That's right. And it was just so hot.
Yes. Oh yeah. No, I understand. We got married in July, so I totally understand that.
Yes, you did.
Okay, this I'm assuming is your band. Tell me about them.
So Port City Shakedown is I wanted a band. Like I don't know why. I think it's more interactive and I love a DJ. Do not get me wrong. A good DJ is awesome. But for our event, we just wanted a band. And it was something where, my dad was bankrolling a lot of this and he was pretty adamant on having a DJ. And so Tyler and I just took on this. We're like, you know what? This will be our expense. We should pay for something, being young. So we ended up taking on this and paying for the band. And it was just something we valued. It's not really anything other than that. But they were really fun, really talented, and they're not, breaking the bank. I mean, they are an investment like everything in the wedding industry, but it was something we really valued, so we put our money toward it. But they were awesome. They were awesome.
Yeah, I can just tell they've got a good energy just from like even one picture.
Oh yeah.
But that is so true. It's really important to figure out what you value in weddings, like because some people really are into the flowers and some people are really into the music and some people are really into, which all of this, but it's
Yeah,
just
no,
like it's
good.
finding what you appreciate. Like Mason was really into food, so we put a lot of like of our budget
Yeah.
towards food because like that was
Smart,
a favorite thing.
Mason.
I know, right? But like that's so important as people are wedding planning and thinking about what they want to do for their day to consider, like as a couple, what are the things that you value? What are you really going to remember or want to remember about your day? So that's awesome.
Which is funny looking back. We had so many people there that we hadn't seen in so long. Like I don't remember spending the bulk of the night like dancing on the dance floor the whole time. Like I feel like I got in there maybe like the last hour, maybe last hour and a half. But even just that smaller time dancing, like I mean the crowd was, but I was just wandering and talking. But they were really great, very entertaining, and I've been able to work with them since then. Which is, we look back like, oh, you were like 2018. We kind of narrowed it down to, oh yeah, we did that at St. Thomas. So and they're just as good as as a band to work with as they are being a client. So I've definitely highly recommend Port City if you want a band.
Yeah,
Local. It's good.
That's awesome for sure. Definitely good for any of our local Wilmington brides.
Yes, Wilmington girls.
Yeah. Oh, I love your cake. So much cake.
My little baby.
I love it.
Yes. Thank you. So this was, I'm pretty sure, I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty sure it's Costco or
Nice.
Sam's. Like I honestly don't tag them because I can't remember, but I did not want a cake. I was in, like, I feel like now I'm in the majority. The more I plan, the more I'm like, this is a normal for, I guess, a millennial. We just don't, cake is not what we're going to spend thousands of dollars on. My mom made me get this cake, shove some greenery in it. The only thing, I did have fun picking up the people who really don't look like us, but it was just that to me, it was like, oh, this will be cute. Like, this is Hannah, just put random people on here. But but I remember it being very good. And we did freeze the top, which again is like a really like Southern tradition to come back and eat it the 1 year. So did you guys do that for your 1 year?
So our bakery said that they were going to bake us one for like the 1 year. So we ended up using the top, but then bad news, they closed. And so we did not end up being able to get one. And so we actually went to Wegmans and got a slice of cake from Wegmans and ate it on our wedding anniversary.
That's all that matters.
Yeah, we still had cake, but yes, it was not our cake.
Well, there, honestly, it's not as great as you think. Like the icing was pretty good. The cake was not. I mean, it's a year sitting in your freezer, like, so you didn't miss much, and you could just pretend. But yes, we did do that and ate it at our 1 year, and took a few Polaroids and laughed. But overall, the cake, I think we did sheet cake for the guests. Like we were just like, if they want cake here.
Yeah, that's such a great idea. And there are some people, I feel like it definitely could be a generational thing too, because there are like my grandmother loved the wedding cake. Like she was all about the cake, but then, like for me, I was like, oh, we don't need like, cake, whatever. We ended up getting one, but yeah, I mean, same thing. It just wasn't on that high on that priority list for me.
I know.
But yeah, definitely people love their cake. That's for sure.
group. And I've had some good cake at a wedding. Like, don't get me wrong.
Oh, me too. Me too, for sure. I love wedding cake. That's the funny thing is I love wedding cake, but I didn't, put it high on my priority list.
Not mine. Not mine.
Okay,
Oh yeah.
so
So
I
this
love
is the
this.
flip.
Yeah, I was gonna say this definitely shows that flip from like one to the other. And I like that you still kept your pieces like in the front part, the floral pieces. I love that.
Yeah, this was flip. So I guess we had lanterns and florals. Yeah, okay. I don't even remember. Yeah, we did buffet and we did middle of the island, which is like top dog in Wilmington. They're
Yeah.
just the best. So food was great. Yeah, but this is the flip. So this is what they did. There's a sweetheart. If you look in the door, behind where we were by the buffet, the table directly in front of it is the sweetheart. But again, I just didn't want anything crazy flashy. Like I knew with having that many people, I remember saying, we need like white linens just to open up the room, because if you do too much dark on a dark floor, and even when it gets dark, it's just feels, kind of like it's enclosed. So I wanted to open up as much as we could. And then if you look kind of on the right, there are these air ducts. You'll see like 3 candles on the right. That's my memory table. I did do one of those. So we have a lot of people on that memory table. So that was important to us. And then, yeah, centerpieces looks like we did some florals, lanterns, cubes, nothing crazy. And we did buffet and did plate to the table because we were into simple.
Yes. Simple is key, but yeah, it looks beautiful. And I love the memory table too. I feel like that's such a special way to honor some people at your wedding. And I've seen that a lot, but I feel like it's something that if you're thinking about doing it at all, I would definitely say do it. For any of people who are planning, because I mean we did one too, and it was definitely something that I remember, and we stopped and looked at it too, and that was just special moment.
It was important because Tyler's dad, and then I had lost a cousin at 19, like
Wow.
6, 7, 8 months before. So it was not just like, oh, here's throw it on the table. Like there was probably more thought put into the memory table than it was like our centerpieces, because we did not value. We did, but at the same time, it was just a fresh thing, and so that we really, really valued. So they kind of, they set that up. Our coordinator did, and a few friends from our church. So we opened that space up, had dinner, and then we danced. You can kind of see the buffet in the left corner, So that was actually where, it opened up. They broke that down, and we just had the dance floor and some lowered lights, but it was good. It was great. It was good.
All right, then I think this might be our last one. Maybe I think it is. So I'm guessing dances.
I feel like I haven't even shown Tyler's face the whole time. So I was like, let me throw my husband's face on here. But yes, so we had a few traditional dances. We did have live music. So we have a lot of talented musicians as friends. So we just kind of enlisted them for that part. And then we just had the band for their, the dancing part. Like they didn't do any emceeing. Like I had my friend do it, and he was great, which he also is a like worship pastor. So he is in front normal, like he's always in front of people. So he did our music. It was really, really good. So yeah, we did a few dances, and then we partied all night. Just kidding. I think it ended at 10, but yeah, there's a few dances, and it was just good. So there's Tyler's face, everybody.
That's awesome. Speaking of Tyler, what were his thoughts on wedding planning? Like, was he really into it, or?
Sarah, I'm gonna be honest. He did not see our venue until like we got married. Like he walked in and said, "Oh, like this is cool. This is what I would have picked." Like that was his attitude.
I love
He did not. Tyler is one of the most laid back humans in the world, and he did not care. He was on board with pretty much everything. I kind of offered him half information, every once in a while, here's half of some information. But he and I have similar styles, though, I have to say. So he could trust like that I wasn't going to throw him in like an orange jumpsuit. Like he knew, hey, here are my ideas. What do you think? And I do remember, I'll tell you this. I remember when he got his tux in. I remember, I don't know, I wasn't home, but I remember him sending me a mirror picture. He's gonna die when I tell you this, but he sent me like a mirror picture, and he was like in his tux, like, all right, it's here. And I was like, oh, he loves it. So yeah, we like the look of it, but luckily we have very similar tastes, so that always helps.
That's awesome for sure. Yeah, and I feel like it just differs between like whoever you're marrying. I mean, and you've probably seen this even with couples, like there's definitely, it depends on the couple. Like some couples are just like totally, both people are on board. Some people are like, you just know your person, so it's not like a ton that you have to even talk about, which is really nice too. And sometimes it's just that they enjoy that too. Like some guys and like, grooms end up finding that they love the planning part, which is cool too. So I think that's awesome.
Some very involved grooms, which is, it's rare, but when I have them, like they're into it. Like I had one bride who did not leave the suite the whole day. Like she did not care what was going down. I mean, she was like, "Is everything okay?" And the groom was down there, like we had like pampas grass, and he was like spraying it and like building stuff like the day of. And I'm like, oh, like he was into it. So yes, I mean it happened.
Yeah, for sure.
That was not record.
Hey, that's okay. Yeah, everybody has their thing. So speaking of, we talked about several vendors, so I just want to make sure we give them a shout out. So who are your like top vendors that you're like, oh, I want to make sure I shout them out?
Absolutely love, again, my photographer, and you mentioned it too, the importance of having a professional photographer, like not like a friend, not like a professional photographer. And it was my cousin that did it, but she owns a business, and it's Ginny Corbett Photography. And she was out of Raleigh. She just moved to Charlotte. She has twin girls, so she's on a hiatus. But if she ever returns, she is the best. Like for us, she and I are very similar in the way we do everything. And I like the open airy look for a lot of things, but she is color. There was some bold colors as you saw. So Ginny personality is one of the best in the industry, and also just people. So shout out to Ginny. She kept us on schedule. She kept us laughing. Like I think at one point, Tyler's not been in front of the camera for 8 hours ever. So she would laugh, and she had the right to do this because she was a cousin. But Tyler, I guess, would space out like while we were taking photos, and I was too. But he would get like a fake smile, and she would yell out DMV because it looked like like he was smiling in line at the DMV, and then he'd snap out of it and start smiling again like Tyler. So she was really, really good. So definitely recommend her. And then secondly, I think my band, all of mine were good. I have to be honest, I loved all of them. My band was very good. Port City, I already talked about them. And then my florals were the Atrium in Clinton. And, they're an hour away from Wilmington. They traveled, and she just nailed it. Like I wanted white and green. I didn't want much. And she did a great job. So yeah, I think top ones for sure. It was great.
That's awesome. Yeah. And like we've talked about already, but like vendors are so key, and especially those photographers, or if you have a videographer, whoever it is, because you don't realize until your wedding day how much time you are spending with your photographer or your videographer, or both. If you have both, like you're spending so much time with them. So it's really important that it's somebody that you jive with, because if not, you're with them all day. So
yeah. And they can rub you. I always tell clients, like, you want to find someone obviously in your budget, but I'm telling you, like, it's worth the investment if it's a little bit more, because they can dictate your day. And it's the same with a planner. So I didn't have a planner for my wedding. I hired the in-house day of coordinator, and she did fine, but a coordinator is so different than a planner. I mean, it's someone who's just going to place things out, run the flip and try to keep you on time, where your planner is there from start to finish. So looking back, my mom probably would have appreciated a planner, but at that time, we just didn't invest in it. We didn't even know to invest in it, to be honest, being young, and mom, obviously not knowing what she's doing, planning the first wedding of the family. So, but like you said, like the photographer and the planner can make or break your day. You want to make sure the personality is there, the connection is there, because they're there for a lot of important moments, and they really dictate your day. Like they can rub you wrong in an instant. So, and then your whole day's ruined. Like I've seen people like that. So you don't want that to happen. It's definitely worth the time to really, seek out someone who fits your budget, but also your personality, who is really upfront about fees. So yes, they were all very, very good. And also shout out to Middle of the Island. I skipped them, but they're in Wilmington, and their food is so good. But I had them. They were awesome.
Yeah, I've had theirs before. I think at one of your weddings too, that we worked together. And they're
I feel like I work with them more than anyone. So yeah, you probably have a few of their,
Yeah, I remember them specifically. They're being really good. So that's awesome. So now, sort of this can be wedding planner hat and bride hat. What advice would you give to a couple who's planning their day?
So like the Hannah Strickland, who's just post bride, would say maybe planner too, but mostly like the Hannah part would just, you just want to be present. Like you said, we talked about the details and we talked about the overwhelming and parts, and there's so many moving parts, but really like trying to be present even when things are not going perfectly, because bottom line is you can have a fantastic experience and it not go perfectly. It's not going to. It never will. I've never had a perfect event, nor will there ever be a perfect event, because nothing is perfect. So trying to keep that at the forefront of your mind is really key. You don't want to miss moments and look back and only harp on certain things when you can look back and just go, oh, that was where I married the love of my life. That was where I got to reconnect with great Aunt Sally, or that's where I got to, have a few glasses of wine and eat some good food. Those are the things you want to relive. And so being present, and that is wedding planner Hannah, but more or less more just Hannah hat. But then wedding planner me, it's like, talk about your budget. Like, I know that's ugly, but it's so important. Like, it's the most important thing. So just being really upfront about, okay, here's my number. Like, how are we going to reach it? We're going to have to start figuring out what we really value, which is also what we talked about with the band and food. Like Mason was like, I think food is great. So you put, $4,000 there instead of, $1,200 for just like a Moe's buffet, or same for me. Like I could have a $1,200, dollar DJ versus, however much a band, let's just say $4,000. It's really what you value. And so you're going to spend, like with your guest count, you're going to spend a certain amount of money. Like you're just going to have, this is probably where you're going to land. And you've got to just figure out how you are going to maneuver or how you'll spend it, because you're going to spend it, if that makes sense.
For sure.
So budget and being present are two key ingredients to a good event.
Yes, I would 1000% agree. And I feel like both of those are something that can be easy to miss. Like I've definitely had people, in working with people that have not had that budget talk up front. And then it's like, like we've spent money in the wrong area. And it can be really easy to do when you're in planning mode, because you're like, oh, this is so pretty, or like whatever. And, and you start putting money in the wrong spot. And then you're like, oh man, we don't have enough for whatever. So I feel like that's something that's not talked about often, but is definitely key.
Yeah. So with you and Mason, did you guys just have a conversation up front, or did you just like get into the nitty gritty and go, I think this is where we're going to land? I'm just curious.
Yeah, so we actually had a conversation from the get-go. I like made this big old spreadsheet and like started writing it out, in true planner fashion. I had like every line I possibly have, like tips, all of that in there. I probably need to share that so people can use it. But like I had the whole thing planned. And then we just sat down and really had a conversation about what we valued. And so that's when I found out like Mason really, really valued the food. And like I really valued our venue, like where we were specifically getting married. And so then we put the majority of our money towards that. And that really helped us to be able to see like, okay, the rest of it, we're not as, we don't care as much about as we did those two things, which was definitely helpful in just driving that, because it's tough.
Yeah. And you don't know that. Like you and I, you have dipped your toes in well enough to be experienced enough. And I have a wedding planning business, so I can say, have the conversation. But most people don't know that. They'll just kind of dance around it until, you rip a Band-Aid off and go, wait, you spent $3,000 on what? Like, I don't even like that. So yeah, that's smart. I mean, do it up front, to me, has worked better from what I've heard from people. From her, definitely comments.
Yeah, for sure. Because it is like you said, like at some point you're gonna have to take off the Band-Aid and see what's underneath. Like it's gonna have to happen. Like so,
and it doesn't help to like Pinterest is all of the weddings on there are like $80,000 or above. Like the budget's like $100,000. Like, oh, I want that. And then you dig into it and like, my budget is $20,000. My budget is $40,000. So it is tough when those are the parameters set, and then you get into the reality of it and go, oh, like that's not what I can do at this time in my life. So
yeah, that was tough too. Like even like my wedding planning board on Pinterest, like I had to remind myself, like I think there was one point where I was looking at this and I was like, oh my gosh, I really want it to be like this. And I just had to remind myself like, okay, we don't want it to be a carbon copy, but like, what do I actually like about this? Like, is it that I like the simplicity? Is it that I like the flowers? Is it like, what actually is it? pull that out and then put that in, because like we're not going to carbon copy somebody's wedding. But there definitely were things that I was like, oh my gosh, I love this. And I'd look at the price tag and I'm like, never mind.
I can do mason jars instead of, vases. Yeah, like I get that.
It's like, okay, yeah, we can cut costs here. For sure. So I think our last question is just, what were some of your favorite parts of the day or the memories that meant the very most to you?
Yeah, so looking back, I was thinking about that question today a little bit. Really special moments. Already touched on the memory table. That was really important to us. Making sure that was done, and it was done really well. Favorite memories, though, I would say, like for my actual ceremony, instead of doing like a unity cross or sand, which is it's totally a symbolic ceremony, as you know, just a piece of your ceremony. Has nothing to do with the legal parts, but you might have a unity candle, certain things. We decided to take communion, which I thought was really special, and just have a moment of worship. So we ended up having some live music, and then he and I took communion together, which was really special. And it really opened like the Holy Spirit into the ceremony. It was very special. And so looking back, I saw some photos of that and I was like, oh, that was a really good moment. Would do that again in a minute. It was just very special. So that was definitely like top tier. And also probably my second part, I mentioned all the connections and you're with all those people, but our pastor is like a childhood pastor, but not, I would say youth pastor. He's not like pastor of church he is now, but he, we've grown up with him. He met me when I was like in middle school, was my first, youth minister. And, he brought this piece to the ceremony where it was not like just you're going through the legal parts. Like it was very personalized and it had stories and anecdotes and, it really presented us better than we are, but it was definitely just a sweet ceremony. And I feel like nowadays, most brides and grooms are just like, get through the ceremony, 20 minutes and we go. And I'm all about a short ceremony too. I get that. Mine was not that long. It was probably half an hour, but you don't want to miss those really tender moments almost, because it really, it's there for the rest of your life. So, oddly enough, I have most people say, oh, the reception or this or the party or the dancing or whatever. That was not us. Like we really loved our ceremony. We loved the Holy Spirit there. We loved the presence of everyone. So the people are what mattered to us. And I got to see a lot of the people I love there. So those are my favorite memories. And even when we were leaving, like Tyler and I just sitting, like going back to where we were staying and just like, we just had the best night. I don't even know how to come back from this. Like this was one of the best nights of our lives. So I got to kind of relive that with him, that night. And we just, that was my favorite part. So those are a few of my favorite parts. So it was good. It was a good day. I said that a lot tonight.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I feel like, that's a good thing when you're saying that over and over about like what you you're gonna remember for the rest of your life, so for sure. Yeah. So talk to me about where you are now. What's going on? So you guys got married in 2018, right? Yeah. So it's been a couple years. So like, where are we at now? I know some things, but let's tell our listeners.
Yeah, so like, catch me up, catch the audience up. No, well, actually September 8th will be our 4th anniversary. We'll be married 4 years. And we do have and then September 3rd of this year will be our baby's 1 year anniversary. First birthday. See, I'm in wedding mode. First birthday. And we're gonna do just like a Mickey Mouse palooza. He loves Mickey Mouse. So currently our life is baby world. Like I say I'm a stay-at-home mom. I guess technically I am, but I also run the business. So it's like we're just figuring out schedules, figuring out bottles. We're figuring out, how to have a business and have be a mom. And it's, it's crazy, but we're so blessed. We just moved into a new house. Well, I guess we're coming up on the 1 year of that, but November. So, we've had a big year, very blessed year. And we know not all years are like that, but, currently we're just in mom mode and wedding mode, which are the two places I exist. And my husband would say, yeah, I'm in a dad mode, I'm in a work mode. So it's the same thing, but we're just really grateful. And, the business is, doing really well, which, I'm grateful for as well. So we take about 30 brides a year is kind of like where I want to cap it, at least until my baby's older. But but the business, is a blessing as well. So we do about 30 a year, and we pick up in October, and it gets wild. But I have a lot of really fun brides coming in this upcoming year, and you're going to be helping me sell them, which I'm very excited about. So yes, we're good thing. I mean, all good things over here. And then, I want to catch up with you and Mason. I know you guys are also having a great time, it's his job. So it's just good stuff.
Yeah, that is awesome. So for anybody listening, if you are in need of a wedding planner and you are in Eastern North Carolina, what all areas would you say you cover? Would you just say Eastern North Carolina?
Yeah, and we'll go anywhere. Like we've ended up in Indianapolis, Indiana. Like we'll go anywhere, but we are technically like 75 miles, outside. We'll go within that, and there won't be travel fees. So if we go outside the 75, we'll still go, but there'll be a few travel fees. But we go anywhere from Wilmington to Raleigh, Wallace, Warsaw, a lot of Garner. I mean, any of those places. We're all around. So anywhere you want.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And Hannah is just wonderful. I obviously work with her. So we have a good time. And if you book Hannah, you might end up seeing me too. So, which is awesome. Whenever I can, I really want to work more. It's just, with teaching. I try to do as much as I can, but also maintain sanity. So, it's all the things.
I don't blame you one bit. And it's not like, hey, just show up. It's not like it's a light little load when I say, hey, come work. Like it's a lot of work. So
yes, for sure. We work so
yeah,
for sure. Well, is there anything else that you want to share before we stop recording?
No, Sarah, just thank you for having me. And then what we need to do next time is I'll read the questions and you tell me about your day, because now I'm just curious. I'm like, those questions are jogging me. Tell me about Sarah Mason. So I thank you for having me, and I've enjoyed it. But yeah, it's good to catch up, and it's good to talk all things weddings always.
I know. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm really excited for this to actually be on the podcast. Hopefully it's probably like a month or so from when we're recording this, but yeah, I'm so excited. And that is a great idea. You would be a perfect person to talk all things wedding. You would definitely ask all the right questions.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it and I appreciate it.
This has been Something Borrowed Blue Ridge. Thank you so much for tuning in, and be sure to follow along on YouTube or your favorite podcast service, and we'll see you soon.